All right.
Good evening,
Cool.
everybody, and welcome back to this week's edition of the Area Scouts podcast, ProCAST. Sorry, I am your host for tonight. I'm Hector Sandoval, the National Director of Media for Area Scouts. Tonight we have our National Director of Quarterbacks, Mr. David Fales. How's it going tonight, David?
It's going well. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sorry about the delay with last week's. We had some pretty bad technical difficulties on this part over here.
I get it. No worries at all. Glad we were able to make it happen.
Absolutely, absolutely. So just to start off running here. Let's start off with some background. Who do we have in David Fales?
Yeah, it's such a general question, but like I'm Salinas, California. Right now, I guess who am I now? I'm a father of two kids. I've been married for the last coming up on 4 years, or we just passed 4 years. Just recently transitioned out of football. Was with the Jets for a few years. Before that, the Dolphins, and before that, Chicago. But I grew up in Salinas, California. Played a bunch of different sports, but ultimately was lucky enough to get connected with a quarterback coach early on in like junior high, and was able to kind of he kind of developed me as a quarterback and really set the foundation for the person and quarterback I am today. And went to high school out here, and then bounced around a few different places in college. Went to Nevada for a little bit, JC out here for a little bit, and then ended up at San Jose, and then was drafted in the sixth round, and then got like 6 to 7 years in the NFL. So yeah, and now I'm transitioning out of football and excited for life after that.
Awesome, awesome. We're happy to have you aboard. You mentioned you're from Salinas, California, and I feel like growing up, I'm from Texas. I feel like the three states that we hear about all the time with high school football are Florida, Texas, and California. So California, I mean, football is obviously a big sport there. You mentioned you played other sports. What is it that made you focus mainly on football?
I think going in between my eighth grade and freshman year, I got connected with that coach, and he really believed in me, and I kind of seen that was where I was going to be have the best chance to play and be successful. So um, I spent time with that quarterback coach playing. I was playing football, baseball, and basketball at that time, and after I realized like what the training was going to be like with him, I was doing all quarterback training in the off season that spring, which was baseball season too, and I was like, I can't do both. And
Right.
he thought I really could be successful as a quarterback, so I dropped baseball and went all in on football at that point after my freshman year of high school. But I still played basketball. Tried to do a little bit of track, but I was never a fast guy. I was doing it to try and get fast, but it didn't
Right.
work. So that's yeah. I played all sports, but that freshman to sophomore years is when I went all in on football.
That's I feel like the whole like track or a multi-sport athlete thing really takes form in high school when you're trying to. A lot of coaches really recommend that you do at least another sport, right? So you can stay healthy in the off season, stay fit and increase in your speed. I did cross country through school, so we had a lot of football guys that would come in and they'd run with us during their season.
Yeah,
We kind of coincided seasons. But whenever they were off weeks or anything like that, or we started early in the summer, so they'd be there with us sometimes too, and basketball players as well. And so I feel like it's really normal for high school athletes to be in multiple sports like that.
yeah. I don't know. I don't know if it is normal anymore. I feel like I see people getting so specific into one sport.
Mhm. That's
More
true. That
now than there was before, because there's a lot of different coaching and specific coaching that I think you can get. But
right. Absolutely.
I tell people, especially in elementary, junior high, and high school, like play as many sports as you can, because you'll never get to do it again at a competitive
Hmm.
level, and you don't really realize that till it's gone, and you're like, oh man, I can never play basketball in a competitive environment again. You can go to the
Yeah.
Y or whatever and do it, but it won't be like how it is in high school. Like I miss playing that. So and it does help you. I think it rounds you out as an athlete. Like um, because if I had just done quarterback stuff all year round, which I was almost doing that, but I still had other things going on, I would either burnt out, or my body
Mhm.
would have kind of gave up on me, because throwing year round is not going to be good for you. So I
Right.
didn't
Right.
realize play. as many
It
sports
also
as possible.
it also helps with like the monotony of things, right? Like you get a break from the norm and get into a different kind of workout and a different kind of competition.
Yep.
Um, Now that the quarterback coach that you started working with, is that somebody that you and your family sought out, or did they find you? How did that process work?
Yeah, I was really lucky. He lived in New York, and then after 9/11 happened, he wanted to move to a safer place for his family. He was really successful on Wall Street and retired at a young age, and was just a football fan. He had spent time with Bill Walsh, Terry Shea
Wow.
had gone and like interned with these places. Didn't want to get like he's done. Money was good for him, so this is just for fun now. Um, and he came out to Monterey and wanted to start coaching. He started at a junior college and then went to a few different high schools and ended up at my high school when I was in eighth grade going to a freshman year. And he coached for a little bit, but then the coaching, he kind of fell out of coaching with my high school and just coached me personally on the side, and a few other quarterbacks around here that took it seriously.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
and I still talk to him today. And I met him in eighth grade, and he's helped me through college, NFL, and as I got older and I kind of figured out, knew what I was doing, it was more helping me as from a mentor, role model side, less quarterback side.
Hmm.
But I had that foundation of like the West Coast offense. Everything I had
Right.
was, which is different now. It was all I was doing 3-step, 5-step, 7-step drops under center in eighth grade, and
Yeah.
watching Joe Montana tape in eighth grade, which I didn't even realize, that I was kind of ahead of my time, but
Yeah.
it really helped me, and just my foundation for everything after that.
Right. And I feel like those connections are great, right? Obviously, you have somebody that you can trust to help hone your skills, but it becomes a stronger bond than just on the field. Like you said, now he's more of a mentor to you. You know, he's somebody that you stay in touch with, that you started to practicing with when you were what, like 14, 15 years old, and you're still in touch with now. And those are the kinds of relationships and bonds that are brought about when you dedicate yourself to something
Yeah.
as such a sport. So I mean, hats off to your coach also to continue working with you, even though he kind of strayed from the high school a bit.
Yeah.
And after high school, you were a redshirt freshman at Nevada. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, so I mean that's a term I think that everybody who hasn't actually played sports has heard and kind of acts like they understand. But what really goes into being a red shirt? What is that? What does that do for an athlete in terms of eligibility? And does it harm or
Yeah.
hurt athletes? I mean, does it harm or help athletes more? Do you think?
Um, I I'm not sure how it's used now, but for me, it was like a we call it a redshirt year. We'd say that in the
Right.
NFL, like you're a rookie, it's your redshirt year. Um,
Okay.
it's like a year to develop, but I mean, people use it different ways. If the way my understanding is, you have like 5 years, 4 years to play, and one of those can
Mhm.
be a redshirt year. Um, and a lot of people will kind of use it for the young guys to develop and grow, and then be ready to play the next 4 years. But not all kids use it.
Mhm.
I've seen, I think kids now too, when they have to they may start somewhere, transfer, and for eligibility reasons, they have to redshirt. I'm not
Mhm.
sure if it's that way now with like the
With the
portal and
transfer
everything.
portal and everything, yeah,
Yeah, I feel like people are just able to play right away. So I'm
yeah, that's
not
what it
sure about,
seems like now.
but for me, it was always kind of like the young guys developing, because I mean I went from 190, 195 to 210, 215,
Mhm.
and just because you're eating more, you're lifting all day,
Right.
you're getting older, so that was like, it's always it's a big year just development wise for guys coming in. And I sometimes you see people with gray shirt where they take less than like 12 units, so they're not
Mhm.
technically a full student and their clock hasn't started.
Mm.
And like I've talked to kids saying like, um, football teams have told them to gray shirt, like take this year off, like we'll
Mhm.
be in contact, lift, develop, and then you can redshirt and then start. So they're like 6 years in.
Wow.
Yeah.
But is that a decision that, like the red shirt, gray shirt, is that a decision that you as the athlete make or that the program makes for you?
I think it probably depends, like
Really? Okay.
if you have the leverage and you're a guy that they want to play, but you're saying like, no, I want to hold off, like, because
Right.
I think there's a point to in the year where if you play more than 3 games, it burns your red shirt. So they can play you for
I
like one
got you.
or two games. And then there's like a decision that has to be made. Are we going to burn his redshirt year and use
Mhm.
a year of eligibility? Um, so I think it's kind of, I would think, I'd hope it's both,
Right.
on both sides this decision.
But the option is there to, I mean, and it's a good option to develop, like you said, to develop an athlete, whether that be size, discipline, learning new techniques and stuff like that. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a good avenue for athletes.
just to mature too, like it's your first
Right.
year being away from home, like just
Hmm.
kind of getting, you're in a college campus, like getting everything dialed in. I think it's a big year just to transition and develop, and yeah, it's big.
Absolutely. So from Nevada, you is it from Nevada that you went down to JUCO?
Yeah, so I
Okay.
didn't have a choice on whether I was redshirting. I was redshirting. They
Okay, I
told me,
got you.
yeah, like I had Kaepernick in front of me. Then there was
Oh,
Tyler Landtrip. There was like three guys,
mhm,
3 or 4 guys ahead of me. So I was redshirting.
mhm.
And then at the end of that year, the December, I had started kind of talking to junior colleges in like November, December, because I saw the writing on the board, like I wasn't going to play in their offense. They had brought in another guy who was kind of similar to Kaepernick style, and I wasn't that. Um, so Coach Alt told me I wasn't going to the bowl game that year, and I would never play on his team. Um,
Wow.
he said, "You can stay here. You'll be like," he referenced another quarterback, "but you'll never
Mhm.
play." And I was like, "Okay, cool, appreciate it," because I want to play. So I left
Wow.
and went to junior college. So somebody I MPC, I had a relationship with the coach, but even he was just like, "Hey, I can't guarantee you anything, but I can guarantee you'll be able to compete. You'll have a spot to compete." I'm like, "Okay, cool."
Mhm.
And I rotated the first 5 games with another guy here, which was like a big learning experience for me, because I thought like, D1, I'm coming back to junior college. I'm gonna ball out for a year and then bounce back to D1. But it was cool to kind of experience another, just being resilient and having to compete and learning how to get back to the basics. And I learned a lot during that time. And I went to MPC for a year. Then Wyoming reached out to me the following summer, said they had somebody leave, if I walked on and paid for like a summer class, that once fall camp started, I'd be on the scholarship. And then I went there for a month and realized I'm like, they just want me to be a backup. They had a true
Mm,
freshman, Brett Smith.
mhm.
And they just wanted me to back him up. So I realized, like, again, the goal for me was to play. So I didn't want to be back up there. And I ended up going back to JC, and that was my second year, did well again, and had Indiana State, and that was my only offer. And so I thought I was going there. And then the day after Christmas, or it was like it was like a week before Christmas, San Jose came out and worked me out. And which I don't know if they were allowed to do at the time, but
Yeah.
we're past that now.
Right.
It was Coach John DeFilippo, and he's with the
Mm,
Bears now. I think he's been in the league for a while, but I didn't even get to work with him. He ended up going to the Raiders as soon as I got there.
got you.
But he was cool. Came watch me throw, and I remember, I'll never forget this. He's like, "You're going to come to San Jose State and throw for 3,500 yards for the next 2 years," and I was like, "Huh, how's this guy know that?" Because another
Yeah.
funny story is, like, I had also gotten a cortisone shot in my knee the day before, because I thought I tore my MCL for the
Oh,
season.
wow.
So I'm
But
like
before
throwing
your
on a,
workout with San Jose?
yeah, I was like
Oh,
throwing on
wow.
a numb knee, and I'm like, how's this gonna go? And he liked me, so um, yeah, ended up getting lucky and ended up at San Jose State, which was super cool because that's an hour away from me, and they just needed somebody to throw their guys the ball.
Mhm.
They had a really good team already.
And it worked out. You had a pretty good career there, right? I think 11-2 in 2012.
Yeah, so yeah, we were 11-2, ended up being number 21 in the nation,
Mhm.
broke a bunch of records, went to the Military Bowl, won that.
Nice.
Yeah, we had a good year.
And so what I wanted to touch on is the resiliency. You mentioned the word resiliency, and there's been a couple of athletes that I've had the privilege of interviewing, and I think it's becoming a more and more like it's becoming a very frequent term that we touch on because it's very evident that almost nobody has a straight path to the ship. Nobody has a straight path to being the all-star, all-pro quarterback, winning it like every kid's dream. Like it takes a lot of work, and it on top of work, it takes a lot of really negativity sometimes, for lack of a better term, or adversity. It's you had a coach that told you that you were never going to play. You had another coach that told you couldn't promise you anything. You had another
Yeah.
coach who kind of like charmed you into going over there, and then you found out that they just wanted you to be a backup. And through all that, there was never a moment. Was there ever a moment where you thought, nah, I'm just not going to pursue this anymore?
No, and I always think back, like, what was I thinking? Uh, because I never doubted. But I remember, like, it kind of fueled me,
Mhm.
really, because I had a lot of people say that, like, I would never be able to play throughout my entire career, which, yeah,
Mhm.
it is kind of crazy. And I think, um, I don't know if it was just in me or just playing sports, why I never listened or let it affect me, bring me down too much. I think
Mhm.
it just takes, I always say this, it just takes one person to believe in you and you got a
Mhm.
chance.
Mhm.
And that's, oh, that again, there's been a handful of people who've always said I'll never do it, but at each stage, I've also had one person think I can, and that's all you
Right.
really need. Um, I had
Mhm.
the mentor, like, he believed in
Mhm.
me. I remember he told my mom when I was in junior in high school to, like, look at colleges where I'm going to be able to set myself up to go to the NFL. And me and my mom at that time are like just thinking, we just want a scholarship. Like, I'm
Right.
just trying. But he was thinking, like, you're like, no, we need to make sure we're going in the right place. And I'm like, like, why does this guy think that?
Yeah.
Uh, but and then I had San Jose State believe in me.
Mhm.
Like, I think if, yeah, it's just, you just, and then even in college or even in the NFL, I had Adam Gase. Like, he
Mhm.
kept me around in the league for a long time because he believed in me. So it just takes one for those people who, because there's going to be a lot of people who tell you you can't do it
Right.
in everything you do,
Right. Right.
because
And
they
I feel
can't
like
do it.
that exactly. And that vote of confidence that you have from that one person is it's like it's monumental for an athlete. I mean, that's all you need is that one person behind you, and you want to move mountains to be able to prove that that perspective to yourself and to everybody that's watching you and to everybody that said no on the way up there.
Yeah,
So that's something that I think is very vital for youths coming through sports right now. Is that's what we were trying to give. That's what we're trying to give kids, right? Is that uh, kids that otherwise wouldn't have the opportunity to have resources at hand, like the lessons that we can provide through the videos of the area scouts. That's why I like the program so much, is because it provides that little bit of help and that push that maybe they weren't getting somewhere else, or maybe they thought that they weren't going to be able to perfect this move or this throw or master this route or this drop back. Uh,
yeah. I
uh,
think too, it just, sometimes people want to do it, they just don't
mhm,
know how.
right.
And I think that's what Area Scouts does give you, is a plan.
Mhm,
Um, because now if you really want to do it, now you have a plan and it's accessible to you now. That's something which got me interested, obviously, with Area Scouts, is that's something I wish I did have. Like, I was fortunate to have a coach, but to
mhm,
have something with everything in it, um, whether it's training, nutrition, the workout, it's that's awesome for a reasonable price. And I think you can get that now, but you might have to break an arm off or a leg
right.
off. Because I with NFL, like, I've obviously been connected to a lot of people and resources in it, and I've experienced some of the coaching, and it is a lot.
Mhm,
And if you could have it accessible to younger kids and start, just have a plan, that's half the battle.
right.
Um,
Yeah, and then even with like camps and stuff that I mean we do have camps as well, but the downside of a program that only has camps would be like where I live, like we were talking about earlier before we went on air. Where I live, we're 2.5, 3 hours away from the nearest big city where we'd go and get that kind of help or that kind of attention for an athlete. I coach baseball here, and our athletes have to go to Austin to the 5 tool academies to be able to get that kind of help. that
Yeah.
area scouts and a program like ours can provide in their home, in their own backyard, with their personalized videos, their
Yep.
personalized lessons and whatnot. So I really enjoy that part of it.
Yeah, definitely. I think the camps, there's definitely something to the camps and that experience. And if you can get the right coaches around or involved in those, but it is also hard when you have such large groups to actually take away like really something that you can work on because it's so general for the group. Like in my experiences growing up, like the camps were good. They were fun because I was doing it with my friends. Like I enjoyed it, but I don't know if I learned how to compete. Not sure if I necessarily took any skills away all the time, but I definitely learned how to compete, which
Mhm.
was that's again another large part of it.
Right. Absolutely. Now you mentioned you went after San Jose State, you were taken in the sixth by the Bears, correct?
Yep.
So kind of take me through how the week or weeks leading up to the draft go. What goes through the mind of an athlete when you declare, and then now when you're kind of getting to the day, and you got to get a little anxious, right?
Oh yeah. It was weird. I didn't even really I kind of reflect on my college career and like I wasn't thinking about the NFL. I remember after my junior year, I had a really good year. As a team, we broke a lot of records. I individually broke a lot of records, and I remember somebody at San Jose State, like, are you gonna declare? Like, are you gonna make a decision? Are you coming back? And I was like, what? Like, what are we talking about? I'm coming back. I didn't even know that was an option. But so I wasn't really thinking about it until then. At that's my senior year, you start getting all these agents hitting you up, and just you're getting hit up way more the next year as soon as you're on the radar. Um, so just the process leading up to the draft is I beat Fresno. We beat Fresno. It was a huge game for us. We thought we were bowl eligible at that point. We got our sixth win, and so we're waiting around. Ended up not getting a bowl game. I committed to the Senior Bowl, so immediately after I find out when I go to the bowl game, I'm working out at the Exos in Arizona, getting ready for the Senior Bowl. Do that, and then the next thing is the combine, which is like shortly a few weeks after that. So it kind of doesn't stop once your senior season ends, and then from the combine you go to your pro day, and now after the pro day you have like a little bit of time to chill, because you're just waiting for the draft, and then it was a cool experience. All that was really cool, but it definitely stressful because so much weighs on just those short events. There's a lot
Right.
of just judging going on at the combine. It's kind of a tough environment to perform, which I hadn't really expected because you don't know until you're in it. But like the whole time leading up, you're training in your environment. It's dialed in, your nutrition, everything, sleep,
Yeah.
the workout facility. But then you get to the combine in Indy, and you're like you're there for 2 or 3 days before you actually run and perform, and you don't have a field or anything to work on. You're kind of trying to stay loose and dialed in a big just office room within the hotel. That your training facility is kind of set up for that, but you're running on carpet. It's like it's a whole different 180 to what you've been experiencing the last two
Yeah.
months. And then on the third day, after you haven't really been sleeping, you're not eating as good, you got to go out and do the combine, and that's nerve wracking. So
Mhm.
it was a fun experience. But then leading up to the draft, you don't know. If you're not like a first round guy, those guys, they kind of have an idea. They know like there's a lot more communication going on between the teams and the agent. I think there's a possibility they go in the first round. I wasn't one of those guys, but my agent was thinking, hey, there's interest from, you have interest from these teams because they're also coming out to your facility after your pro day. You're either taking visits, which I took, I think one to Green Bay. The Vikings came and worked me out. The Bears came and worked me out. So that's happening right before the combine or the draft. And then the draft, and you're waiting, and nobody really knows. My agent told me second, third round, and I'm like, okay. So like, what becomes an enjoyable experience is now
Yeah.
you're very anxious and a little bit disappointed when the second and third round goes by, and you're still no call. Then you're like fourth, fifth round. Oh, nothing. Then the sixth round, and then once you get the call, it's really cool because the whole staff, they call you. Um, it was cool for me. A lot of players reached out. I was getting text messages. I remember Cutler called me. Yeah, it was cool once you finally happens. But definitely it was stressful leading up to that moment.
Was Jay Cutler still there in Chicago whenever they called you, or whenever you got drafted?
Yeah, he was there all my years there, 14, 15, 16.
Oh
And then
wow, okay.
I was with him in 17 too, with the Dolphins.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, see, my timeline gets a little skewed because I know he was there. He was with Denver. He was with the Dolphins. He moved a little
Yeah,
bit. That's
yeah.
cool though. That's cool. We talked to earlier a few weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago now. We talked to Carlos Williams, who made a point. He was telling us that that rookie year for an athlete is the toughest because you go, like you said, you go from you finish your college season and then you're training for the combine, and then you do the combine, and then you got to do the rookie off season, right? Because you start before everybody else. You have to go to spring training
Oh
before
yeah.
everybody. So it's like nonstop football for like 18 months, really, when you're a rookie.
It's nonstop for like, yeah, 18 months about that.
Mhm.
Cause then your first time off is that first off season. And they always say like they try to give everybody a heads up because now these rookies they have a little bit of money. It's their first
Yeah.
time away. It's like, hey, chill out. They show the stats and but yeah, I don't know what you do about that. But yeah, it is a long period of just football and grinding.
Right. So and when you're grinding like that, when you're going for 18 months at a time, and even on top of all of that, when you have years of playing in the sport that you played in, or really in any sport, in any kind of physical activity for that long, it's kind of inevitable that you've suffered one or two significant injuries at the very least. Right. And I know you mentioned the cortisone shot that you had the day before your San Jose workout. Is there any one big injury that sticks out in your memory that you kind of that kind of still haunts you? And if there is, was there anything that could have been done to prevent it, do you think?
Yeah, I think I was throwing so much in high school that I wish I would have like found a foam roller like 10
Hmm.
years before I did, just in like stretched and rolled out. Cause when you're young, you never have any pain, nothing hurts. Like I
Hmm.
just go out there and start, didn't have to get out early and warm up. So I wish I would have been a little bit more proactive, but even it's just hard to tell kids to like be proactive when they feel fine, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so I think I would have liked to do that a little bit more. I was lucky; I didn't have too many significant injuries. I've had shoulder surgery here, and then what is this? I had something done. I didn't have surgery, but I hurt my left shoulder. That
Hmm.
nothing serious. I could still work out and stuff. My knee, I thought I tore my I may have like slightly tore it, but I was like once I started stretching and rolling out, the pain went away.
Hmm.
So that's what I was like, oh man, if I like stretch, roll out, take care of my body, things stop
Yeah.
hurting as much. Which you kind of as you get older, you just have to because you're getting stronger faster. Like it's not the just tension and grind on your body is a little bit more significant than when you were younger, and it just adds up. So you have to like stay on top of that or you'll fall apart. And that
Right.
so yeah, I was pretty lucky. I didn't have anything like too significant that's like I'm feeling now, just little stuff that I always have to maintain, but nothing crazy.
Hmm. Yeah, I spoke with Amber Hill, who's our director for women's lacrosse last week or 2 weeks ago, sorry, and she was mentioning about she's played pregnant before and she fell, and then she like has played through an infection in her leg and almost lost the leg, and
Oh my
it's
God.
crazy. But it's like you said, when you're young and competitive, nothing's gonna stop you. Like you don't. Not only do you a lot of the time not feel as bad as you actually are, but even when you do feel bad, you still want to push. I have a niece that's running track, and she actually just last week, she kind of hurt. She almost pulled something in practice, or did pull something in practice, but it was their last meet. So, and this is a middle school meet. It's her first year in track, and it was her last meet. And she's a sprinter, and she was like, "No, mom, I could do it. I can run through it, whatever." And now she's even further injured. Luckily, it was the last meet, so she's not going to miss any time from the sport. But I think that's a big point for kids in sports right now is that you may not feel, or you're going to feel invincible. You're going to feel indestructible, and really, if you just take care of yourself and you kind of take it slow a lot of the time, to a certain extent, you can kind of be indestructible because if you build your body up good enough, and you know when to take a step back, there's never anything that's going to hinder you too much. Or not, I shouldn't say never, but there's not a lot that's going to hinder you too much. But I feel like that's something that we all kind of need to, as youth athletes anyways, need to learn
Yeah,
is to take that
I
step back.
know. I know. It's not even like taking a step back. It's just being proactive, I think.
Right.
Because it's like something I want to tell my parents and my wife's parents sometimes. I'm like, because things start falling apart. I'm like, you like, if I didn't work out, if I didn't roll out, if I didn't stretch, like I would fall apart too.
Hmm.
Um, and I think for like kids, you can get ahead of it and and realize how much better you'll feel when you stretch it and
Hmm.
take care of yourself. And you'll be able to go harder. Feel like, wow, I feel
Hmm.
better. I can lift more. I could throw better or feel better at least.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, and you won't have to tone it back.
Right. Yeah, as long as you can do it in moderation, you're going to end up seeing how much more you can do. You
Yeah,
just got to be able
yeah,
to pace yourself there.
yeah.
No, that's a good point. So I got one last question for you before we let you go tonight, and it's the question that we've been asking everybody that we've had on, and it's kind of probably the most important question, which would be what advice, if you had one piece of advice to give a kid coming up that's wanting to start in sports and wanting to make a life out of sports, what would your piece of advice be?
Um, Depending on, I mean, if they're in high school and elementary school, I'd say play as many sports as possible until maybe like your sophomore, junior year. Like then you can still emphasize a sport that you may want to look into going towards college, but still play as many sports as you can. Um, and that is what I tell everybody because they want to get like super dialed in with a coach in seventh grade. I'm like, just let them develop until you don't know what they're going to be yet. So don't pigeonhole yourself yet.
Mhm.
Um, I would find a coach, find coaches. Like, um, I think obviously just with my story, like that, I don't know what quarterback I would have been or the person I would have been if I didn't find that coach. And I got lucky because he found me.
Mhm.
Um, so find somebody that you can relate to and work with that has the time and can put time into you to develop you. So I think those would be two things, especially if you're in the elementary to high school, is just play as many sports, like be involved in as many sports as you can with your schedule, and then find some coaches out there that can improve you because that is gonna, I think that helped me expedite my skills. And if I didn't have that and I was just relying on football practice and my coaches there, there's no
Mhm.
chance. There's no chance I would have probably made it past high school. So
Right.
um, I think I was working. I was throwing 2 hours a day, 5 days a week with this coach outside of what we were doing with football. Um, and it was crazy. And this guy was with us every time. So I'm so grateful for the amount of time that he committed to me. But
Right.
I'm no joke, 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, throwing like for
Wow.
4 years. Yeah. And, then by my junior and senior year, I got my offer after my junior year. I'd gotten so much better just because I spent that much time. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what everybody should do, but you should definitely find a coach that you can relate to. And once you kind of figure out what that sport is, still play other sports, but find somebody that can help you develop the skills necessary to progress your career if that's what you want to do.
Right. And commit to the craft and kind of
Yeah.
hone in on that, perfect that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Well, I appreciate you coming on tonight with us tonight, David.
Yeah. Appreciate you having me. It was
And I
awesome.
appreciate everybody that showed up, everybody that wants to pose any questions to David or to anybody else on the Area Scouts roster. I would direct to our Discord channel. We are on Discord at Area Scouts. It's a public channel for everybody to join, come in, contribute, and post any questions you want. We can get to our athletes and to our directors, and across all platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or everything's on Area Scouts. And until next time, thanks again, David.
Yeah. Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
We'll see you next time.
All right.